Hello, this is Professor Jack. Week 8, Lecture 8, Part 1 of Lecture 8 is Chapter 15 on Population and Urbanization. We may have some technical problems with the audio, but anyways, this should be a very full lecture and informative lecture. So let's see. Population can be defined by many characteristics such as mortality, migration, family, public health, work, and the labor force in a human societal group. Urbanization, on the other hand, is defined as a process by which an increasing proportion of a population lives in cities rather than in rural areas, like the mountains or the hills. Okay, so we use three elements to studying demography. In this case, population size, composition, and distribution. Therefore, demography is the study of human population. Okay, and these three elements that I'm telling you are number one, fertility, mortality, and migration. What is fertility? What is mortality? What is migration? Okay, so like in the next slide, I have actually definitions, assertive definitions for each of these terms. Fertility is the actual level of childbearing for an individual or a population. Mortality is the incidence of deaths in a population. And migration is the movement of people from one geographical area to another for the purpose of changing residency. Migration and also immigration. As long as we're talking people moving into the geographical area, that's what we care when talking about this third element, okay? So fertility, mortality, and migration. Then we also have a demographic transition theory, and this is how the theory is composed using those three elements, of course, that I just mentioned. We have the type of society and we have population demography. The type of society in terms of what stage of evolution, if you could go ahead and say it, okay? Say that, okay? So what stage of evolution? Are we talking a pre-industrial society, an advanced industrialized society? Are we talking a post-industrialized society like the United States, right? Then we have population demography. Take a look at stage 1, high birth rates and high death rates. So unstable, right? Stage 2, high birth rates, decline in death rates. Okay, but still unstable, okay? Stage 3, decline in birth rates, low death rates. And then take a look at stage 4, low birth rates, low death rates. Question 1, in which of these stages would overpopulation be most likely? Question 2, is urbanization a sign of the right climatological conditions for an overpopulation? But then question 3, what role does the element of migration play in any of the 4 stages? Now, if I were to ask you in which of the 4 stages would overpopulation be most likely, you would probably say stage 2, high birth rates, decline in death rates, stage 3, but why stage 4? And if I were to tell you that in the United States we could start having overpopulation problem and we are low birth rate, low death rate, what will you say? What will your analysis be like? This leads us into the next slide, which is the discussion of migration. I make a claim. My claim is that migration urbanizes. In the previous slide, I asked you a series of questions. The third question was about the role that migration play in the growth or overpopulation of a city. Well, I would like to emphasize from a functionalist perspective. Notice how I say this. It's from a functionalist perspective, guys, okay? It's not my opinion only. It's not me making an argument and getting steamy about it. No, I'm abiding by one of the theoretical perspectives, so I can't go wrong, okay? And that's how you should go ahead and make your sociological analysis as well, by a sociological perspective. Okay, let's see. We have two migration, I don't want to say migration patterns, but 2 forms of succession, okay? The first one is by migration or immigration, okay? Stage 1, invasion, is the process by which a new category of people or type of land use arrives in an already previously occupied by another group, okay, or type of land use, okay? The second stage, which is the stage of succession, is the process by which a new category of people or type of land use gradually predominates in an area formerly dominated by the other area, by the other group, okay? So, invade, succeed. Invade, take over, okay? Now, this is not to blame to say, well, they came, now they are taking over. It's a natural, it's a natural human behavior, right? 100 years ago, Los Angeles was not what it is today, but 200 years ago, Los Angeles was not how it was 100 years ago. Same thing with New York, same thing with San Francisco, with Miami, with Chicago, with Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, people leave because others come in. It's a new group of people coming, the old group leaving, moving away, I guess, right? Okay, now, a second form of succession, it's known as gentrification, okay? Is the process by which members of the middle or upper middle class move into the central city area and renovate existing properties. This is not because of migration influx rates or trends. This is because knowingly high and middle class want to capitalize on the fall of the given area, right? And they gentrify, right? So those are the two forms of succession. Now we have a slide here. Thomas Malthus versus Karl Marx. Excuse my accent, okay? But Thomas Malthus and these are two theorists on overpopulation. According to Malthus, the population left unchecked would exceed the available food supply. He would argue that the population would increase in a geometric exponential progression, like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and so on, right? Well, the food supply would only increase arithmetically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when it comes to population growth, we're actually multiplying, right? But when it comes to food progression, we're not multiplying. We're actually just adding, right? So you have so much fertile land for crops, right? To plant vegetables, right? But human beings multiply at an accelerated rate, and more so if you have migration as this third element that we're talking, right? And then food, there's not enough food according to Malthus. However, Karl Marx completely invalidated Thomas Malthus' idea there, right? Because according to Karl Marx, and Karl Marx is a conspiracy theorist, or he was a conspiracy theorist, right? It's not about food supply. It's not about, according to Karl Marx, technology could take care of that, right? We could go ahead and, I don't know, like we do today, right? Add preservatives to food so it could last longer. Go to the laboratory and make oranges and vegetables, or make them larger so that there's plenty of it for everyone. There's several ways to overcome this problem of overpopulation. So the food supply is not the problem according to Karl Marx. Marx argued that it was not overpopulation that would cause starvation or famine. It was capitalist greed. It was the fact that capitalists make of food and water a commodity instead of a necessity. And if there's money to make out of it, well, guess what? We live in a capitalist society, right? Capitalism at its best, I guess, right? It's about about making money, right? And the hundreds of millions, if not billions, in the food industry, the FDA, right? So I'm not making any direct accusations to no other organization. I'm just pretty much by Karl Marx token, I'm pretty much telling you what he would say, right? The theoretical perspectives, I want you to go ahead and study them on your text, like I showed you already in the previous lectures. I want you to go into your text and study these theoretical perspectives and develop them in the way I did, okay? So that you have a complete understanding of the chapter, and so that you become a better analyst and researcher, okay? So, I don't know, I thank you for standing so far with me on these 15 lectures so far, okay? We celebrate. We also going to have the second part later, and the second part is going to be concluding all the presentations we've done in this summer course. And thank you for your time. Again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you hearing my funny accent, okay? Then I hope you get to hear me next lecture, okay? Which is chapter 16. And thank you very much then again. Bye-bye.